the kind of situational awareness that separates players who understand the game deeply from those who simply execute within it. She recognized exactly where she was on the floor, understood the bonus situation, and made a play that forced the foul call at the most critical moment. That is high-level basketball IQ. That is a player who has internalized not just the skills of the sport, but the strategic architecture underneath it. Shout out to Sophie Cunningham for that specific moment, because it was genuinely exceptional. Kelsey Mitchell finished with 29 points on 10 of 22 shooting. She also contributed 8 assists, which is a number that deserves attention because it represents a version of Mitchell that uses her gravity to create for others rather than purely hunting her own shot. That is not the Mitchell we see every night. 8 assists from her is significant, and it contributed meaningfully to Indiana's offensive distribution in this game. She also made an enormous play in the closing moments, drawing defenders with a drive, creating space, and converting the basket that kept Indiana in control when the game was genuinely on the edge. That play was drawn up and executed under pressure, and credit belongs where it is due. Ty Harris had approximately 20 points in this game, filling in for Caitlin Clark. That production deserves acknowledgement without qualification. She stepped into an expanded role, and she delivered offensively in ways that justified the opportunity. There were some shot clock situations during the game where the timing appeared rushed, but the overall contribution was positive, and she balled out in an elevated spot. The production was real, and it should be recognized fairly. Now Raven Johnson, 6 points in 23 minutes on 3 of 7 shooting, with 3 turnovers. That is not the performance this team needs from its point guard depth. She had 6 rebounds, which shows some presence on the boards, but the offensive inefficiency and the turnovers in a game this close and this consequential represent a level of production that does not justify the minutes she is receiving. The honest assessment is that Johnson struggled tonight, and saying so is not harsh. It is accurate. Aaliyah Boston played 38 minutes and finished with 21 points, 9 of 16 from the field, 3 of 5 from three-point range, 9 rebounds and 1 turnover. That is an elite performance in terms of both efficiency and volume. And here is where something critically important needs to be named clearly. Stephanie White gave Aaliyah Boston 38 minutes. 38 minutes. Compare that to how she managed Caitlin Clark's return against the LA Sparks, where Clark's longest continuous stretch was 3 minutes and 10 seconds, and her total floor time was approximately 15 to 16 fragmented minutes that prevented any competitive rhythm from developing. The contrast between those two deployment approaches, applied to 2 players on the same roster within 24 hours of each other, is not a minor variation in game management philosophy. It is a visible and documented asymmetry that tells a story the coaching staff cannot explain away with health management language. Boston played 38 full minutes of competitive basketball in a tightly contested game. She was allowed to find rhythm, build momentum, make mistakes, and recover from them, and ultimately deliver a performance that was one of the best individual outings of her season. She was trusted with the floor time necessary to actually impact the game at a meaningful level. Clark, returning from injury in a game a day earlier, was cycled in and out in 2 to 3 minute windows with extended stationary bicycle breaks in between. She finished with 9 points and shooting struggles that are entirely predictable outcomes of that deployment structure for a rhythm player. If the explanation for Clark's fragmented usage was medical and physical, a genuine concern about her back injury requiring conservative management.